Yeah, we are live. We are here. We are at the Generation Age, Folge 22, 27. August 2020. I'm happy, very happy to have a good friend of mine and also a good specialist about tourism worldwide and hotel worldwide, Fischer. He's we know each other some year already, Yossi, and I'm very happy that we have you in the short time today, and I hope everything is okay on your side in Tel Aviv.
Everything is fine. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on board.
Great.
Great to have you, Yossi. Great to meet you as well.
So, same here.
In three big cities, Hamburg, Berlin, and Tel Aviv. Say, Yossi, how is the tourism or the hotel business now in Israel at those days?
If you're looking at resort destinations in Israel, it's chock-a-block. Basically, because we are a red country and Israelis are limited in the amount of countries they can travel to, Israelis are traveling within the country. So if you check now for a room availability in Eilat, in Herzliya, in Tel Aviv, you will find that the hotels are sold out and for prices that are about 20% higher than last year. So hoteliers are basically taking advantage of the fact that people cannot travel and they are raising the prices.
Okay. The prices in Israel have been high already without Corona. What's now the average roundabout in a 4-star hotel?
In a 4-star hotel, for example, yesterday it was said in a TV interview that a 2-night stay for a family of 4 in Eilat would cost around 1,500 euros, and that's not in a 2 nights in a 4-star hotel. That's a lot of money. That's roughly 750 euros a night. That's a lot of money.
You can stay in a 5-star hotel in Berlin for a week for that money.
No, Alex, no, not in Berlin. No, never ever.
Listen, for a 1-month stay, I probably can buy a hotel in Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the hoteliers saying, and how are they taking the responsibilities at the same time? Yes, they can't travel outside of Israel. But what precautions are taken? Because we've seen on the news over the last few weeks, there have been, hotel parties and all that type of stuff. But what kind of measures are taken with all these full hotels at these high rates? What are they doing in Israel?
The problem in Israel, is not in the hotel industry. The problem that we are facing with the high infection rates are mainly with Orthodox Jews that live in very, very tight communities, and they have big families, and also with the Arab families that are quite big and they go for a function. So most infected people got infected in weddings, in celebrations, in that part. In hotels, as far as I can tell, from what I know, is that the infection rate is rather minimal, because the hotels in Israel have to work according to the specific guidelines that are issued by the health ministry, and it's called the purple tag, and they have to perform according to that purple tag. So there are no known big infection cases in hotels, so that's not an issue.
Okay,
that's good to know. And how with the higher rate of infections, are there also higher number of deaths, or is the virus actually not as strong anymore? Because that's what we're hearing, that over time this virus is, yes, it's spreading maybe faster, but it's not as strong anymore, and people are not dying as fast anymore. What are you hearing?
I can tell you that the death ratio here is going up. It's going up because the amount of severe cases in the hospitals is going up. So we have currently around 180 people that are with ventilation, difficult cases. And what is said here, at least, and I'm not a doctor, I'm a hotel specialist, that once people are getting connected to those ventilators, the chances of getting out of it is becoming slimmer and slimmer as time goes, as time passes. Right now, the death ratio is around 10 people a day, which is very, very high, and we're a small country. We have 9 million people here. So if you compare us to Greece, we are like 50 times higher.
I watched yesterday. I watched yesterday in a talk show in Germany. There was a professor. Alex, maybe you know him, Professor Streeck from the Uni Bonn.
Heard of him.
And he said that probably could be that Germany will have 20,000 new COVID-19 people per day. But this is not the main issue, because they know now how to handle it much better, and the death numbers are really low. So if you see that we have the level like in May or in April, but the level of the death are much less than we had before, and this is also. Yossi, how is the prognosis of you if they open the sky from Israel to Greece or to somewhere else? I don't know where, to Croatia and everything. So will the rates go down, or how will we influence this on the tourism in Israel?
First of all, you see that the high ratio of infection is among those communities that I've mentioned. Orthodox Jews, big families, and mainly in the Arab community. Orthodox Jews are not the ones who are traveling to Greece. They are not the ones who are traveling to Croatia. Right now, we have a pilot with Greece that allows 600 Israelis coming every week to Greece. And as of next week, 1,200 Israelis will be allowed into Greece once they do a corona test, which is 72 hours, maximum 72 hours old, and then they can enter Greece. To Croatia, the number is not limited, and people can enter Croatia. And basically, those two countries are, anyways, they are not green compared to other countries in Europe. I think that they are yellow. So it's a different set of rules. But when it comes, for example, for Israelis to go to Germany, it's impossible. It's simply impossible. You need to get a special visa from the German embassy, and that's quite difficult, because Germany is green right now.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with all these, the reduction in flights? We've seen it with Lufthansa really quickly. They had to get bailed out with 9 billion euros. What's happening in the Middle East, and what's in Israel with the airlines? Because I think the airlines are a little bit smaller there. Are they going to survive? What's going to happen there?
Well, the two smaller airlines are getting packages from the government, loan packages, which are guaranteed by the government to about 80% from the loans. El Al is the big issue. El Al is basically broke. It's bust. The company is bankrupt, and the company is not operating currently. So the government is going to give a state government help that is going to be at around 400 million. So El Al will get a loan from the banks, and the government will guarantee that loan. At the same time, there's going to be a public placement of around $150 million at the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. And if nobody is going to buy those shares, the government is bound to buy those shares, the 150 million, and then basically El Al will be nationalized. So far, El Al is not operating. El Al is down, are not to have cargo flights, even cargo flights. There are over 6,000 people are unemployed. But I'm sure that the government is going to support El Al, even at the cost of nationalizing the airline. That's what's happening all over the world.
Yeah.
It's also what's going to happen here. There is no difference.
If we're now on the issues of airlines worldwide, so we have the big ones like Lufthansa or British Airways, Air France, or other big ones, name it. Then we have this EasyJet and Ryanair. There are small, big ones, either more big ones than small ones. And then you have the really small ones, the charter like Wizz and name it.
Wizz is not small. Wizz
okay,
is not small.
One, but you know what I mean. So this small one.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. So let me give you a brief of what's happening with the airlines. Most big airlines, what you call flag carriers or scheduled carriers like Lufthansa, Air France, the big groups, they got bailed out by the governments. This bailout will last for a certain period of time. The question is when we are going to have normality coming back into flights. That might take up to a year from now. It might even take more than a year. So if we look, for example, at the US, the way that the US looked at the issue was completely different than to Europe. The US gave grants to airlines at around 25 billion US dollars. So all big airlines in the US got grants from the government, from the federal government, in order for the airlines to continue flying. So what you had in the US were that even during the worst times of the pandemic in the US, airlines continued flying even with one passenger, even with no passengers on board, because the government gave the money and the employees were kept employed. This federal help is going to end up in September. And there's going to be a second package that the Trump administration is now trying to push through the Congress. And that package should be also at around 25 billion US dollars. So you're coming already to $50 billion of support only in the airline industry in the US. I don't know to what extent in Europe the governments will be willing to subsidize and to support the airlines. But it's a crucial point, and the governments need to take it into account. What I find a problem is that on one hand, the government is supporting the airlines, but they're not supporting any other business. So if you're looking at, for example, at hotel business, there is no true support coming from the governments. They're supporting on one hand the airlines, but they're not supporting the other parts of the industry, which is
okay.
Which is a big problem.
And they're supporting the car manufacturers as well. You know, it's always those big players that have a big lobby. They're supporting them. You know, and but one thing that I'm always wondering, and especially now, let's say Lufthansa, you know, 9 billion, El Al, 400 million. Is the government also taking an interest in restructuring those airlines at that point? Because we also know that they have a big overhead and offices all over the place and a lot of cost, even though there might be some jobs lost. But we need to get out of this crisis stronger than we got into it. My concern is, because this is not the first bailout and support of the different airlines.
No,
they're always bailing them out, but their way of operating isn't changing. They're still spending too much money, where they might not need to spend money.
I think that one thing that we're going to see coming out of this crisis is restructuring of airlines and the restructuring of airline models. So when you look at flag carriers such as or national carriers, whatever you call them, such as Lufthansa, they always go on the corporate business. They always go on the higher level clientele, whereby you had on the other side, you had the leisure carriers such as Condor and TUI, and you had also the low-cost carriers. So what you're going to see coming out of this crisis, you're going to see hybrid carriers. Lufthansa is going to venture into low-cost models. Probably they are going to take a stake in companies like Wizz Air or EasyJet that will give them, on one hand, access to the low-cost travel, and they will still keep the corporate travel on board. Corporate travel is going to take a big dive, a huge dive. They will have to cut the number of aircrafts. They will have to move from wide-body aircrafts to narrow-body aircrafts. They will have to cut on long-haul flights. Yes, restructuring is a must. If you look at the restructuring that El Al is doing, which is forced by the government, they are going to cut 30% of their fleet and 30% of their employees. I think that British Airways is doing about 25% of the employees and around 25% of the total fleet. I don't know about Lufthansa right now, but I'm sure that they will use it.
Yeah, Lufthansa will cut some of the planes, but they said that the government will not tell them what to do. This was a deal, a big issue. I don't know. Let's go a bit about the hotel business worldwide. So we read last week that Accor and IHG thinking to play together. I think if it's happening, I can understand if they're doing it. First, do you know more information about this? And B, this is just the start off?
First of all, let's touch the subject of Accor and IAG. Accor and IAG is a match not made in heaven. Not made in heaven. If you look at those two companies and you look at the brands are parallel. They are very, very, there is a lot of similarity between the core brands of Accor and the core brands of IAG. There is, so the number of brands that they will have together will be higher than the number of the brands that Marriott has. They're going to have probably around 40 brands, and there is a lot of overlapping between the brands. So I think that this type of merger is done mainly by investment bankers that want their bonus at the end of the year. I'm sorry that I'm sounding that cynical, but when you look at the customers, and what the customers are looking for, they are looking for a clear identity for what the brand represents. So try to tell me now on a professional level, what's the difference between Holiday Inn Express and Ibis? Or what's the difference between a Novotel and Holiday Inn core brand, or Intercontinental and Sofitel? Beats me. I'm not sure that this yes, I can clearly see they are looking from the savings on operations and saving on distribution cost issues, but they are not looking long term. I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all. First of all, that this merger will actually happen, and if it happens, it's going to take a long time, and it's going to cost a lot of money to make it actually work. Now, it's going to be quite interesting to see the mentalities matching together. A British American company with a French company working under one management. That's quite a challenge.
Good luck.
Yes.
Good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, absolutely. If you're asking me about future mergers, yes, I clearly see future mergers. I see mergers happening on a local scale, say in Germany, for example, or a regional scale in Northern Europe, in Central Europe, in Eastern Europe. As is, there are already too many brands in the world. So yes, making mergers is something that is worthwhile looking at, and I can see that. I can see the advantages.
Yeah.
I can see the advantages.
And then on top of that, you know, we've got these big Chinese players who are buying, European brands as well. You know, we've seen it with Accor. That's where also a lot of Chinese investment in, but especially now Deutsche Hospitality, Steigenberger, which where we had the CEO on the show 2 weeks ago, and now the CEO is stepping down. He's leaving the company in a little bit more than a month. So there's a lot happening. Is it the Chinese taking over? Is it just time for a change? He's been in the position for 3 years, or is this also the start of, you know, real restructuring of this big Chinese hotel company?
It can be either one, or it can be all. So your guess is probably as good as mine, but I'm not sure nowadays about the Chinese moving into the markets. I think that there are going to be a lot of opportunities. Obviously, a lot of companies are going to go into difficulties, and cash is king. So whoever has money, that's a great opportunity to go into the market. Listen, Europe is the world leading tourism market by far. You're talking about 550 million tourists to Europe coming every year. So whenever this crisis is going to be over, people are going to go back to hotels. The question is only what to buy and where to buy, and obviously for what price.
But Yossi, you also the merchant, I understand everything so far, but also a merger costs lots of money, and it's I don't see at the moment, but maybe it's not so easy, but to see it. But if you make the merger, they will not kill brands, because the brands and Accor, they are money, and the brands of IHG, they are money. And if you take now other brands, they invest so much money in this, and now you need also to rebrand a brand that you're well known. You need, it's not just for you a sign up on the roof. So how, from where they will take the money to do everything? If at the moment you don't have travelers, you don't have leisure travelers enough, and you don't have business traveler enough. So also if you make so it's not so easy to see that this merger, or generally merger, will bring now this big target what they think so.
Well, first of all, Accor has a war chest, because what Accor did is what Accor sold a year ago and a few months ago a large part of its real estate portfolio for big money. So they have cash to buy. They have cash to buy. The story of let's take Marriott for example. What happened with Marriott when Marriott did the merger with Starwood? A lot of owners were taken by surprise and were disappointed, because what happened, for example, in Dubai, on the same street, you had hotels competing with each other on different brands. Some were Starwood brands, and some were Marriott brands. So the owners were disappointed from that, and they pulled out of Starwood, and they moved to Hilton. I can give you not one and not two, several examples of owners that were disillusioned, because those mergers, when it comes to the pocket of the owners, I'm not sure that the owners are making money. I'm sure that the corporate managers are making the money on that. I'm sure lawyers are making money on that. I'm sure that accounting firms are making money on that, and of course the investment bankers. But I'm not sure about the customers, and for sure not about the owners.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
because when you have a small company and you need to negotiate a management agreement or a franchise agreement with a small company, it's different than for an owner to negotiate a deal with a company that has 10,000 hotels, because the company that has 10,000 hotels is a mammoth, and when you come to negotiate with them, they push you down. So you're better off to be in the hands of a small or medium-sized hotel company than in the hands of a big mammoth like that.
No. Yeah, makes sense.
But what's going to happen with those smaller hotel companies? You know, like Hyatt is not a big player anymore. You know, if you compare it to some of those other big brands, you know, are they going to be swallowed as well by the Chinese or by other companies?
First of all, I think that the Chinese are going to be are not going to be that active actors anymore. They used to be very, very strong actors. They had a part in Hilton, which they sold. They owned Radisson and they sold it. I'm not sure that the Chinese are going to be the big players. The big players are going to be the Blackstones of this world. They are going to come back because when there is blood on the streets, these guys buy. So there is money. There is money to be made, and these guys, they chase money, and they know how to run it.
Yeah.
So we are going to see the big investment firms coming back into the hotel business for good reason. It's going to be a cheap buy, and they're going to restructure companies.
Except
they're going to flip them, and they will flip them in 5 years' time.
Except of the buying and selling hotel chains, how do you see the future of the hotel business in the next around about 24 months or 36 months?
I think that corporate market is going down the drains. If you're looking at IATA assessments about the recovery, and IATA for me is an indication, because we need to look at the hotel industry as part of the larger picture. We are just a small dot, and if people cannot travel to us, what are we for? So we need to look at the entire chain. If you see the number of corporate, the number of airlines that are investing in corporate market reducing, you're looking that Hilton sacked 2,000 people from its sales force in the US, people that are specializing in corporate market. Those people are not cheap people. They are the people that are keeping the business running. If they are firing those people, they have a good reason to fire them because they don't believe that the business is going to return anytime soon. So I believe that it would take years for corporate market to recover, and the corporate market is not going to look the same as it looked in 2019. We're going to see a major shift in corporate market. So many hotel groups that base themselves on corporate market travel will have to restructure and will have to look for new clientele.
Same thing with the convention business. You know, convention business, meeting business.
It's part of the corporate market.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at hotel chains that are based on MICE travel, they have to restructure. They need to restructure and they need to do it right now. Actually, they needed to start doing it a few months backwards. Yes.
But also, sorry, Alex, you want to ask something?
No, I was just wondering, you know, I think we already are seeing it right now that the business is changing. MICE business is changing. For example, here at the hotel for today, on Monday, we had one event. We had one of our meeting spaces rented. Yesterday, for today, we rented the rest. We've got 8 meeting rooms. They're all rented now today.
Right.
So it's extremely short term. You know, the bookings that are coming, but very irregular as well. You know, several days, 1 or 2 or nothing, and then 1 full day. You know, so it's going to be very erratic. You know, so there is business, but it's just not you know, something that's sustainable and really able to plan for.
But Alex, you have to see. Sorry, Yossi, you have to see the issue that you have some rooms. You're not a big convention hotel. You have the capacity, and it's a part of the business. But there are hotels that the hotel is part of the convention. And this is the issue of big convention hotels worldwide. Also in Germany, you know the chains better than me. Yossi also worked in one big German hotel
Boy,
group.
you can mention the name. I'm not ashamed of it.
No, it's not a bad hotel group. Maritime, it's a good group, and they have
Absolutely
great colleagues there. But this is the issue, and also you need, if you make a focus on other kind of business in the hotel, you need a lot of million of euro to change this, maybe to rooms or to make a cinema or to make I don't know what inside. They have issues, and it's full, and it's full of problems that you have now. I've been last week in a big convention hotel in Berlin. It was empty. It was empty, and they can take 1,500 people inside. So, what do you think that the hotel can change to?
That's probably €1 million question, Zev. But I believe that those are dead spaces for now. If you're looking at big convention hotels, that where you mentioned the convention space for 1,500, I worked for a group, as you mentioned, that had convention spaces for 5,000 people. Now, the good side is that in Germany you have a lot of conventions that are done locally, that are done within Germany. So you don't have that many international travelers. However, you still you have the big convention hotels that where you mentioned the convention space for 1,500. I worked for a group, as you mentioned, that had convention spaces for.
Zev, it says with you. Is your replay?
I don't know what. I'm with you now.
So let's take, for example, the ITB. Okay, ITB. This year, the ITB in March, the chances of the ITB happening are close to zero. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with all those big venues? I'm talking about venues that drive the industry. The car week. Germany, for example, is based on those big venues. Most of big hotels in Germany, they live out of those venues. Yes, there is going to be a lot of rethinking and restructuring needed to be done in the hotels. I think that for a while, we're going to see a lot of dead spaces in the hotel. Now, if you ask me if you need to, if you can convert a ballroom or this type of big function rooms with 2,000, 2,500 spaces for meetings to something else, I believe it's going to be very, very difficult. For now, I think it's simply that space. You can obviously rent it for local shows and for local events, but for international business, not for a while.
We have here a question from someone who's watching us, Patrick. He's asking if the maximum of count of packs for private events in Tel Aviv, also for convention events, do you have a maximum of people that you can do in Israel?
Zero.
Nothing at all, because they change it now in Germany now.
It's forbidden because we are a red country, and as such, the maximum capacity that can, a maximum meeting of people inside a closed room cannot increase that over 20.
Okay.
And then they have to keep 2 meters apart.
Okay, good.
That's tough. Yeah.
That's yeah, Alex.
It's something positive we're going to take out of this crisis. You know, because we've been talking about the Corona revolution in a positive way. What are we going to take out of this crisis? Because we've been talking about a lot of negative stuff, and there is a lot of negative stuff. But is there anything positive that we can take out of this?
First of all, I believe that we are seeing a tectonic change. What we are living now is history. It's history in the making. We're going to have a pre-corona. A pre-corona time and a post-corona time. It's like it's going to look at a different world, and I think that big brands are going to lose a lot of their potence. So if before the corona the big brands were kings, I think that what we're going to see is that the young generation, young people are going to be the first one that are going to go back to travel because, as you know, Corona is less effective on young people, so they feel more safe to go ahead and travel, and they look for the special experiences, and those special experiences cannot be found in big brands. So I believe that we will have to adapt to a more customized service level than we used to have.
So you're talking
which
about the high-end individual brands like, let's say, Amman Resorts, One and Only, Capella, Rosewood. They're brands that are much smaller. The hotels are smaller.
You're looking now at the 5-star deluxe brands, but you have the same type of brands also in a 4-star category. You have all those boutiques alike brands or lifestyle brands that are coming now up in the US, and they are coming now up in Europe, and they are quite successful. I think that there is going to be a boom in that, because what's going to happen is that you're going also to see a lot of conversion happening. There's going to be a lot of empty offices that people are going to change the way that they're not going to travel now on regular basis to offices. They're going to reduce the time they're going to spend in offices, and as such, you're going to have dead space. So this dead space is going to be converted into either residential or into this type of lifestyle / boutique hotels with limited service.
Yes, two questions. One, we're talking about hotels and now versus Airbnb. How is the future of Airbnb? And maybe we'll go in the last minutes also to the big travel companies like TUI and to talk about it. But first, my question is, what's the future of Airbnb?
Airbnb is now officially announced last week that they're going to go public in the US in 2020. I mean, right in the coming few months. So Airbnb at the beginning, they got hit very, very hard, like everybody else. But now they are recovering, because what's happening is people don't want to go to hotels. They want to be limited, and they want to stay within their family. So the Airbnb solution right now is a good solution for people that want to stay within their own family. So they rent a place, they know that the place is safe or relatively safe from Corona. They go, they spend their holidays, and they go out. So Airbnb is benefiting right now from the Corona, which is a paradox, but that's what happens, because people don't want to go to big hotels because they're afraid. In a way, they are also right to be afraid. So I believe that for now, at least, Airbnb is benefiting from the Corona crisis, and that's probably why they want to go public.
Okay. And what's with the TUIs of the world?
That's again, that's a €2 million question.
Hey, I'm a millionaire now. I have got so many millions questions now.
As you Germans say, you have now 3 million.
Okay, I'll give you my PayPal accounting now. But what's with this?
So I think that TUI basically is going to go into a restructuring phase. This is obvious. They took a big dive. But the advantage that TUI has is that TUI controls the chain. Basically, TUI sells the product. TUI has the product, and it has a very, very strong brand within certain European countries, like the DACH countries, and also in Eastern Europe and in the UK. So I believe that, for example, the hotels, the TUI hotel business is going to recover very, very soon. I have my doubts about the airline. Regarding the distribution, regarding the TUI distribution issues about the branches, I think that TUI is going to change. They're going to change very, very, very fast, and they're going to make deep changes in the way they distribute. You're not going to see those branches in every German city. It's going to go online. Most of the business is going to go online, and I think it's about time. It's about time.
Mhm.
Yeah, some people are being forced to go online right now, like a lot of the home office things, online. We knew it was coming. Now everybody's forced into it a little bit quicker.
Forced is not necessarily bad. I think that the way Germans think, and I allow myself to say that I know the way the Germans think, Germans don't like revolutions. They like evolutions. What we see now is a revolution, and it takes time to get used to it, but it's a revolution in the happening, and we have to adapt ourselves very, very fast. So what's happening is a revolution in the making, and we need to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you put now everything together, so we talked about the airlines, we talked about the hotels, convention, the MICE business, we talk about the tourists of the world. How can it be that is there the possibility that everybody will work together and to see how we can go stronger out of this crisis?
I believe that the key issue now is that tourism doesn't have a strong lobby in the world, and that's true for Germany, that's true for Israel, that's true for the US. Airlines, yes, airlines as such, separated from the whole, they have a very, very strong business. They have a very, very strong lobby, because you have the manufacturers behind them. You have Airbus and Boeing that support the airline industry. If you look at hotel industry, the rent-a-car industry, the travel agency industry, they don't work together. There is no harmony of trying to put everything together and to put pressure on the governments. If you look at the figures, 1 of every 10 employees in the world is employed in the tourism business. We should have been the strongest industry in the world, and we're probably one of the weakest ones.
Getting hit most.
Yes, and it's very, very, very unfortunate. I'm calling my colleagues to try to work together, but each one is pulling his own act, and that's wrong. That's totally wrong. We should work together. The fact that hotels, for example, you build a hotel for 20, 30, 50, sometimes 100 million euros, and you get zero support from the government. You employ hundreds and hundreds of employees, and the government doesn't see it as a contribution to the economy. I find it very, very disturbing. I find it very disturbing. I think that it has to do with the fact that we probably we are too polite. We're not making enough noise. We're used to wearing ties and dress up nicely and talk politely.
Not anymore. Not anymore. You see,
we should go to the streets. We should have strong unions. We should demonstrate, and we should demand the governments to look at this industry as a generator of business. Because when you look at tourism is not only supporting tourism itself. You look at a retail business. You don't have a retail business if you don't have tourism. In big cities.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of our suppliers, and he's seeing in the small cities they're doing well. In the big cities that are really focused on tourism, they're not doing so well. So yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to get worse, colleagues. The problem is that we're looking now at the winter season. Yep. And in the winter season, we have hardly any leisure travel. So if we don't have any leisure travel and you don't have any corporate market, how the hell are we going to keep on going?
Yeah, I think we will have now 7 very difficultly months in Germany. I don't know the business in Israel, although I'm very often there. We have the problem in Germany that the German government is not traveling. We have the problem in Germany that the Auswärtige Amt is not making any events until April 2021. we have the problem that the Deutsche Bahn, the employees of the Deutsche Bahn are not allowed to travel, but they want us to travel. Then KPMG, AY, and Siemens, they're all in home office or whatever. So now we have this. On the other side, we have the Christmas market. Nobody will go to the Christmas market. And nobody will, we're not allowed to have a big conventions and big fairs. So we have now 7 months until more or less Eastern 2021 that very less people are going. We had now, I don't know, Alex, in your hotel, your Hamburg is going better than Berlin. We are happy that we have at the 55% a day. We're opening a bottle of champagne, if you could afford it now. And this is really we have really dramatic 7 months in front of us now. And this is really dramatic, not just a bit problem, dramatic 7 months in Germany. And I'm very
in the whole world.
The whole world.
And I think, you know, from a staff perspective, and Zeèv, we've been talking about it in the last couple of shows as well. You know, the staff, from a psychological standpoint, they are hurting right now, and they're going to hurt even more. You know, in the coming weeks and months, and everybody has to, you know, find their way of dealing with the issues that we have. And you know, I'm already teasing into the show next week a little bit. Because we're actually going to talk about this issue with a with a doctor from the Charité in Berlin, and Zeèv made the arrangements for her to come on, and she's a psychiatrist, and she's going to be talking to us and see, like, hey, what can we do? You know, what trends is she seeing? For us humans. So I think that's going to be a focus.
I'll tell you what's happening in Israel, just that you understand. The hotel industry, for example, in most of the non-leisure hotels, they are closed. They are simply closed, and the people are on leave, and they are on paid leave, and the paid leave is going to continue until June 21. June 21. So the chances, a lot of people are just simply saying the chances of them actually going back to work in June 21 are going to be very, very, very limited. And the effect is dramatic, Psychologically, people that are on leave, leave from work from March 2020 until June 2021, what are they going to do?
It's going to be tough for them to get back into their routines, and you know,
almost impossible. Almost impossible.
Lost a lot of their knowledge and their habits. Absolutely, it's going to be difficult.
And I do think, and I'm not just thinking, I'm sure about it, that one of the main problems of this epidemic now is that the people, or the political people, also companies, CEOs are not looking on this problem, what is happening with the employees. And Alex, Jessica Di Bella was at the hotel today, and we had a pre-talk. Yeah, we had a pre-talk. It was very interesting because now we can also announce Dr. Jessica Di Bella. She's working also in the Charité in Berlin. I said in German, at der Klinik für Psychiatrie und Psychosomatik und Psychotherapie für Kinder und Jugendliche. And we will talk.
You have a shortened version also?
Yeah, this is German, you know. And this is and she's also a professor in another high school or university. I think this is where the press, the political, are not talking about this. And I had on Sunday here an event, and there was also some journalists here, and I said them, this is the problem. We don't need, and what is happening at the moment in Germany, you have the radicals against Corona, and they have the people that say, oh, Corona will be, everybody will stay at home. You have, my best friend is Karl Lauterbach from the SPD, a stupid idiot that bring out really just horror information also about the hotel. and you don't have the medium, you know, it's just there, and the medium is not working at the moment.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's black and white, you know.
It's black and white, and we
worst case scenario, and you know, ignoring it.
Yeah, and this issue
but
will
tell
talk
me,
next week.
isn't that typical German of seeing the world in black and white, whereby most of the world is gray?
No comment, but I think that that this is really. I'm really happy that we will have Jessica De Bella next week, because we will start to. I think Alex and I will start also to look after this issue. We will have the week after the Jessica De Bella. We will have a sports manager to speak about this issue, and also to see how the sports and the tourism or the hotel will be. Can we compare between them? I think the business is one issue, and the business will be terrible, Yossi. But
what's important for me is to make 2 points. One, first of all, I think that the German government should give subsidies for people to travel within Germany. I think that would be an incentive for people to go out.
Forget it.
Give them 200 euros, give them 300 euros just to spend in hotels. To spend in hotels, to keep the business going. There is money in Germany. Germany is the richest economy in Europe. So keep the industry going. That's on one level. Also, they can do it through the companies. They could actually do it through the companies. The companies are paying the salaries of the employees. So you give them a voucher to spend in hotels wherever they want during a certain period of time, say from October until March, in the difficult times. That's an idea. I don't know if it's workable. No,
it's a great idea.
I think, Alex, he's dreaming too good at nights that they think that the German government will give everybody 200, 300 euro a night. I will spend it for something else. I would do it like this. But this is a good idea.
You can't. You get a voucher.
Yeah, sure.
You cannot spend it on something else. Now, the other thing is I'm looking at the employees, because we are talking about the hotel industry. If you take the employees away from the equation, what we just have buildings. We just have empty buildings. The heart of this industry are the people. We have to keep the people. We have to keep the people motivated. We have to keep the people on board, and we have to make sure that the people will stay with us, because it took us years and years to train the people. We need the attitude of the people. We need to keep them tuned. And the only way to do it is if we get support from the government to do it. We need to do trainings. We need to use the time that we have now to give them education, to encourage them to keep on going. If we don't do that, we are going to end up sometime in April with empty hotels, because we will not have the right people to run those hotels. Or we will have people, but we will have people that are going to be with the wrong attitudes. So I think that with that
needs to be our focus. That needs to be our focus, and for all the viewers that have watched this, this is the positive things we need to take out of it. That needs to be our focus. Focus on our team. Focus on our employees. Focus on their health, and continue focusing on their training. Yossi, thank you so much for your insights. It's been such a great pleasure having you on the show. It's been an hour already, which is amazing.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you, friends.
Jumping in on such short notice. And next week, I'm just going to switch to German real quick. Nächste Woche, 3. September, auch wieder um 17 Uhr. Dann haben wir Jessica De Bella vom Charité Berlin bei uns in der Show. Und dann sprechen wir genau über diese Themen, wie wir mit unseren Mitarbeitern umgehen können, wie erkennen wir vielleicht die eine oder andere Situation besser, um da dann auch wirklich darauf reagieren zu können. Ne?
Und wie geht es in den Familien auch? Auch in den Familien, das ist sehr wichtig. Ja. Danke, wir sehen uns nächste Woche. Danke, stay.
Ja,
bye.
Stay healthy.
Stay a bit. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank
Cheers.
You. Bye.